therefore have a greater gap between you and C. So when you, what customers are willing to pay for an item is high, and C, what it costs the firm to produce the item is low, that will lead to superior performance. I'm going to say that again. When I create more value for customers, either through low prices and or differentiation, and I'm able to lower my cost structure by being more efficient, quality, innovation, and customer responsive, that will lead to superior performance. The way that I do this, the way that I create value for consumers, is through a value chain in the organization. You will see the primary activities of an organization is R&D, production, marketing and sales, and customer service. Inputs, which are the supplies, which are the labor, which are the raw materials, all of that goes into the R&D process, where I come up with new ideas and I transform and I create, I shouldn't say transform, create, but I initiate the production process, meaning coming up with ideas, having molding processes and products and services. Those ideas then are transformed into actual tangible products and services through the production. Once I've produced these things, I have to now get them to the customers, which is where marketing and sales come in. They actually get my products from the production stage to the actual consumers, and once consumers get it, I then have to provide them with the service that is required in order to inform them how to use it, in order to deal with any kind of after sale issues that we may occur. And that's the essential primary activities in the value chain. The firm creates value, makes its products more wanted or attractive to consumers by focusing or having resources and distinctive competencies in some or all of those arenas. So for example, when Dell was highly successful in terms of its computer sales, its value was created in a large part in terms of its marketing and sales function, because it was able to get the computers to customers using that direct retailing model. It created more value for those customers than HP and Compaq and Apple and Gateway, which used the marketing activities that used an intermediary. All right. The other area, the other activity that separated Dell, one could argue, was their customer service. They had great, if you had your problem, you could call their customer service hotline. They would always help. They would walk you through the process. And again, that was the capabilities that helped separate Dell from its competition. Let's look at Apple now. What area of primary activities do Apple or distinctive competencies do Apple possess that separate them from the rest, that create more utility? Well, in their R&D area of function, Apple has capabilities that few other firms in the industry have. It comes up with these great, wonderful ideas, has a great think tank, it's able to just generate greater, better ideas and bring it to market better. Production efficiency in terms of their production facilities, efficiency getting their product out, marketing and sales. It creates wonderful campaigns. It's able to locate its items in places and able to put an image of its items in the minds of consumers that make the product desirable. And the customer service, some can argue that that value area is probably deficient somewhat in Apple, but their unique capabilities in their production, their marketing and sales and R&D help Apple to be superior to their competitors. These are the primary activities, but there are also support activities that help these primary activities to be realized. Things like the information system, material management, human resources, and the company infrastructure. They all support R&D, production, marketing, and sales, and customer service. But the firm has to create value in one of these areas, or in all of these areas, in order for it to be superior. So what have we argued here? Oop. Let me go back there. There are building blocks to competitive advantage. Remember, we started this by saying a firm has to create distinctive competencies. Distinctive competencies come from the firm's resources and capabilities. Resources are what we have. capabilities or what we do with what we have. In order for something to be considered to be a distinctive competency, it has to be firm specific or rare, unique, and it also has to be a competency, meaning that it's not just what the firm does well, but it's something that contributes to the firm's profitability. And how does it contribute to the firm's profitability? It contributes by increasing the utility of the item to the customer and or decreasing the cost of producing that item to the customer. Again, the difference between utility and cost is what makes a firm profitable. So I can either increase utility and I can decrease cost. Oftentimes I can do that simultaneously, and the way that I do that I should say oftentimes. Sometimes I can do that simultaneously, and the way that I do that is by adding all of this stuff to a product, right? All this innovation and quality and customer orientation or responsiveness, right? That increases utility from a differentiation perspective. But I can also increase utility. I can also increase customer demand by lowering prices. And the way that I lower prices is by lowering my cost structure, by becoming more efficient. So a competitive advantage is promoted by two generic types of strategies that we will discuss in chapter 5, but I'll just introduce them right now. I can either create a competitive advantage by being the low cost provider, yes, or I can create a competitive advantage by being most differentiated. Okay? And those two value contributors, prices and differentiation, are predicated on my ability to be efficient, superiorly quality, superiorly customer responsive, and superiorly innovative. So we're going to go into those 4 building blocks and see how they actually contribute to utility, to either lowering prices and or increasing differentiation. Those two elements that again are important to promoting customer value. Customers value our products because of our prices, and they value products because of the differentiated attributes of those products. What is efficiency? Efficiency, we have this ratio, it's outputs to inputs. Essentially it's this: I want to make the most with the least. And the more, when I can increase that ratio, when I can either make more with less, yes, when I can either make more with less, yes, we say we have increased efficiency. We've increased efficiency. Efficiency is all about doing more and using less. Our output in our business is our products and services. Our inputs are our supplies, meaning our raw materials, our labor, whatever we take to create that product, that's our inputs. So the less of those inputs that we can make, that we use, the greater our efficiency. Or the more output we can create with the same level of input, the greater our efficiency. I'll use an example. Let's say the only input to a product is labor. We're just going to use a hypothetical example. And in order to create one output, we need 5 hours of labor. All right, that's our efficiency. One output takes 5 hours of labor. If that same output were to increase, for that same level of output, we were to use less inputs. For example, so I will say for one product, we now take 4 hours of labor. Then we can argue we have become more efficient. Let's say in order for you to read a strategy chapter, when you first started the book, it would take you 10 hours to go through one chapter, right? So one chapter, 10 hours. The next chapter you read, it only took you 8 hours. Well, you have become more efficient. The other way that you could have become more efficient is if you were able to read 2 chapters in 10 hours. So the same time, you take 10 hours, but you increased your output. That would make you more efficient. So it's all about making more with less. That's how we promote efficiency. And efficiency leads to increased productivity. It can increase employee productivity, meaning again, we use less labor to make more output, or even capital productivity. We invest less capital to create more profitability. Why do we care about efficiency? Because superior efficiency helps a company attain a competitive advantage through a lower cost structure. I'm going to say that again. Superior efficiency helps a company attain a competitive advantage through a lower cost structure. I'm going to go back to I think it's slide 14. Ooh, 1 minute. What superior efficiency does is that it lowers the cost of manufacturing or creating a creating a service. It lowers the cost structure, and because it lowers the cost structure, it allows the firm to lower its prices sometimes, many times. So the firm, because it has efficiency, because it is now using less, has a smaller level of expenses, and because it has a smaller level of expenses, it doesn't need to have the same prices that its competitors have in order for it to create a profit margin. So its profit margin per item is enhanced because its cost is lowered relative to its competition, but it will also potentially have greater revenue and profitability because lower prices is likely to create more demand. So superior efficiency is likely to create or likely to lead to a competitive advantage because of low cost. Firms that are high on efficiency, that's where their distinctive competency lies, are normally the ones in the industry that charge lower prices. And because of their lower prices, they tend to increase consumer demand because they've increased customer value, and because of that increased customer value and consumer demand, their profitability increases, i.e. they have a competitive advantage. I.e. they have a competitive advantage and can also sustain that competitive advantage. Walmart is a prime example of a firm having a high level of efficiency. Why? So we already discussed in terms of its physical layout, and if we can use that, its input in terms of its physical layout, it's able to generate large amounts of output, i.e. sales, because of that investment in that input. And the way it's able to do that is by efficiently stocking its shelves. All right, it has a large number of items on its shelves. It packs stuff in, and therefore it utilizes, or it can sell more, in fact using less space because of the way it orients its store. Okay, another example of it promoting efficiency is in terms of the inputs it uses in terms of labor. Many of you will go to Walmart and wonder, where are all the people that are supposed to be helping me? They don't seem to have that many people here. In fact, they have a lot of sales points or cashier lines, but not that many cashiers. Well, what Walmart is doing, it is utilizing as few labor inputs as it can, right? Because the more labor inputs it requires or it needs, right, the lower the level of efficiency. So it wants to sell the most amount of items it can with the fewest inputs of labor it can, and in fact it has a very successful model at doing that, right? So not that many people work there, but lots of sales. So each person, one can argue, accounts for a greater level of sales. And so because of that, its efficiency, it can lower its cost structure because, again, they don't spend that much money on labor employee hours. Okay? So its efficiency is increased, its cost structure is decreased, and therefore it's able to charge lower prices. So efficiency helps the firm to differentiate itself in terms of a low cost advantage. Quality has two elements to it. It has reliability. Quality has reliability, and quality has excellence. Many times we argue, or we not argue, but many times we discuss something as being quality when we say, hey, it's durable. This watch is quality because it lasts, it keeps working, it doesn't break down on me. This battery is reliable, quality because it's reliable. I can, every time I put my camera on, the battery works fantastic, right? That's sometimes we describe that as quality, and that's correct. But we can also look at, for example, a Coach bag and say it's quality. We're not necessarily, when we look at it and we say it's quality, we're not necessarily talking about its durability or its reliability.